So dear fellow Toastmasters, dear guests, what comes to your mind when you think of financial frauds? Well, I think I'd be close to the truth if I make a wild guess and say that this is probably the notorious 3M pyramid which shook the Russian community in late 1990s. But today, I would like to tell you about another famous huge financial fraud case which shook the world's community in early 2000s. So this story is about the Enron Corporation, which was the largest energy, commodities and communications company in the United States. In 2001, just before the bankruptcy of this company, it employed 20,000 people, and it was named by Fortune one of the most innovative companies in the USA for 6 consecutive years. The company put emphasis on diversification. They operated gas pipelines, energy plants, pulp and paper plants, water plants, and broadband communication systems. The stock of the company just skyrocketed. From early 1990s to late 1998, the stock price of the company went up by 311%. Its price-to-earnings ratio was 70, and its price-to-book ratio was 6. Just for you to understand what these financial indicators mean, let me explain them. For instance, the company has the earnings of $1, but I am, as the investor, willing to pay $70 for that $1 of earnings, because I believe in this company, and I think that in the future it will bring even more cash for me. That's why I value it a lot. The second indicator works just in the same way. For instance, the company has one stock which is priced, reported value is $1. But the markets, the investors, are willing to pay 6 as much, because they think that in the future the price of this company will go up and they will be able to resell it at even higher price, thus making a profit. So that was the case of Enron. It was the year 2000. And can you just imagine, 1 year later, in 2001, the company files for bankruptcy. Its CEO and CFO are getting imprisoned. And before that, one of them dies of heart attack because of the stress and the shock. Moreover, the stock price of the company goes down from about $90 per share to less than $1 per share. And the shareholders of the company lose as much as $74 billion. Just for you to understand how huge that was, in 2001, the nominal GDP of the United Arab Emirates was $70 billion. And the investors of Enron lost even more. So what was the reason why one of the greatest companies in the USA actually failed and had to file for bankruptcy? The reason was quite trivial. It was greed. It was lust for even more profit. The company's officers used some financial tricks, some loopholes in order to present the financial statements of the company in a more attractive way than it really was. They used a couple of methods, and I would like to highlight the major 3 of them, the endless possibilities. So the first endless possibility was revenue recognition. In addition to the main operating activity of the company, they also acted as the wholesale trader. And being a wholesale trader, they employed a special merchant method of recognizing revenue, which meant that they did not only recognize the brokerage part of their price, but actually the whole price of the contract as their revenue, which resulted in inflated earnings, in more attractive financials, and of course misled the investors of the company. The second possibility was mark-to-market accounting. What it generally meant. When a company operates in the sphere of natural gas supply, the accounting method which they use is quite simple and quite straightforward. They show the expenses of their company as the costs of the gas supplied, And they show the revenue of their company as the actual price which they received from their buyers. But what Enron did was that they reported the present value of the future cash flows for the contracts which have not yet been effected. In fact, some of the contracts were never effected up to the end, but the profits and the revenues for them had already been reported in earlier periods, which again was some kind of fraud for the investors of the company. And the third thing, my favorite one, the special purpose entities. So what it generally is. A special purpose entity is a special company which is organized in order to take on the debt of the major company on more favorable conditions. So for instance, we have a big company which wants to raise some funds. But unfortunately, it is already loaded with debt, so investors are not willing to give money to this company on favorable conditions. This company creates a smaller one and sells some of its assets, for instance, accounts receivables, to this smaller company. So what do we have here? A really attractive project with lots of assets and no debt. So investors are now willing to give money to this company on a more favorable conditions. And this money are transferred as the price for the assets to the bigger company. Everybody's happy. Investors have invested in a project with low risk. The company has acquired the money which it needs. But there are some people that are not really happy. And they are the creditors of this company, because they now see fewer assets on the asset side of the bigger company. And they wonder what they are going to get for the loans which they have given to this company. How they're going to be paid. That's what actually Enron did. So they set up about hundreds of such shell companies and gave all the loans to these shell companies, and it resulted in the again in the fraud, in cheating for the investors. So as I have already said, the bad consequences of this case were legion, but one of the major consequences was that the auditing company of Enron company, Arthur Andersen, also had to file for bankruptcy. And this was the time when the famous Big Five of auditing companies turned into Big Four. The damage to Arthur Andersen was so great that they could never make it back, and they could never set up viable business, even on a limited scale from that time on. So this is generally it. Now you have at least a small idea of how the biggest financial frauds in history worked out. And I hope that from this time on, financial fraud will not only be associated with the Russian reality of late 1990s in your minds. Thank you very much.